We're going to look at a couple of examples now dealing with rotations. So we're going to identify a rotation. We're also going to look at drawing some rotations. So which rotation describes how the figure has been transformed? C is the center of rotation. So our options are clockwise 270 degrees, clockwise 45 degrees, counterclockwise 270 degrees, or 180 degrees. And it doesn't matter if we're going in a clockwise or a counterclockwise direction when we're rotating 180 degrees. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that clockwise is in this direction. And counterclockwise is going to be in this direction. The thing about clockwise 270 degrees is that clockwise 270 degrees is the same thing as counterclockwise 90 degrees. And we can say the same thing for, if we have counterclockwise 270 degrees, that's the same thing as going clockwise 90 degrees. So my center of rotation is right here. What I look like I have in my original is a boot lying on the ground with the toes facing upwards. In my image, it looks like I have a boot that's sitting on its sole and its toes are facing to the left. So in order to do that, I must have rotated my object very roughly. Looks like that originally. I must have rotated my object possibly in a clockwise fashion, but I've only rotated, if you notice, 90 degrees. So I've rotated 90 degrees clockwise is what it appears. Or sorry, 90 degrees counterclockwise. This is 90 degrees counterclockwise. So if I've rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise, that would be the same thing as 270 degrees clockwise. So that would be to take my object and rotate it like this in a clockwise fashion. So my answer is going to be A, 270 degrees clockwise. Now I'm going to use the rotation rule to rotate each shape according to the instructions. The first object, I'm going to want to rotate 180 degrees about the origin. And the rule is when we're rotating 180 degrees about the origin, is that your old xy becomes the negative of the old x and the negative of the old y. So I have room vertically. I'm going to write my points vertically. A is going to be the point 1, negative 1, which based on my rule means A prime is going to be negative 1, positive 1. So I'm going to draw that in right here. B was at 2, negative 3. So B prime is going to be at negative 2, positive 3, which is right here. C is the point right now 4, negative 3. So my rotated image is going to be, I forgot to put in B prime here. My rotated image is C prime, negative 4, 3, which is right here. And lastly, I have D, which was 4, negative 1. Rotated 180 degrees, I'm going to get D prime is equal to negative 4, positive 1, which is right here. So now I get my ruled line and I connect my dots, and I've created the rotation. And I should include the point D prime here. So there is my original object rotated 180 degrees about the origin. Okay, so for the second one, I've got a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation about the origin. And with a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation, my original xy, they're going to change places. So I'm going to get a y here and an x here. And what was my old y now becomes my new x, but it's going to be the negative. And what was my y is going to be x, but it's going to remain the positive version. So I'm going to draw my points down here. I have L, M, N, and O. So L was the point -5, -2. M is the point -2, -3. N is the point -1, -2. And O is the point -2, -1. So my new points, L is going to become 2, -5. M is going to become 3, -2. N is going to become 2, -1. And O is going to become 1, -2. So I plot those new points. 2, -5. It's going to be right down here. So this is L prime. Oh, I didn't put primes here. Prime, L prime, N prime, N prime, O prime. N prime is 3, -2, right here. N prime is 2, -1, which is right here. And O is 1, -2. O prime, that is, sorry, which is right here. So I'm going to get my ruled line, and I'm going to connect those dots. Okay, so my rotation was 90 degrees about the origin. So my center of rotation is right here, and I've rotated 90 degrees in a counterclockwise fashion. Gives me my new object. So, to summarize, rotations move an object around any center of rotation. And that center of rotation is a fixed point that an object rotates around, much like the axle of a wheel. Our wheel is rotating around that single point in the very middle of the wheel. When the center of rotation is the origin, we have a rotation rule that we can use to find our image. 90 degrees counterclockwise, which we also said was the same thing as 270 degrees clockwise. We have an original point xy, it becomes -yx. 90 degrees clockwise is the same thing we discussed as 270 degrees counterclockwise. And xy becomes y, -x in a situation like that. And 180 degrees, it doesn't matter which direction we travel, we're going to end up at the exact same place, whether it's a clockwise or a counterclockwise rotation. If our original point is xy, our new point is going to be -y, -x.